Hello guys, welcome back to my video. Today we're going to be showing you how to make a entity projectile in MCreator. So what is an entity projectile? Basically it's like you know how like projectiles work with, it's technically an entity that you shoot and it hits something. So what we're going to be doing this time is have a custom projectile made of a living entity here. You could do that. Let's start doing this actually. Here we go. First of all, let's define our entity. So we create a living entity over here and let's call that fire projectile, whatever. Here. Okay. You have like models you can choose from. You can make this invisible. So how you can do that? You can just do this. So right now it will not let you continue on without giving a texture, as you saw here. So in order to give it a texture, right now it's empty. What you could do is like create a new go to resources here, create a new texture, yeah, like this, and it doesn't matter the resolution, just save immediately and set this as entity and just call this like blank, whatever. Okay, now we have this blank texture. It does nothing. It will make the mob invisible. Also you need to set the model visual scale to 0. It will not let you because restrictions in the mod in MCreator. So what you could do is like reduce this to 0.01, so just to make sure things are correct. Okay, bounding box, you keep this you keep it like this as is, yeah. And what you could do then is the entity bounding box, you can here set it to 0, set this to 0. Also the shadow set to 0, yeah. Also remove the spawn egg. We don't need the spawn egg because it's unnecessary. It will not, it's like basically incompatible now. So let's go continue to behavior. We don't need to change anything here at all. And what you could do is like make him immune to whatever you want. I'm gonna make it immune to everything. I mean, the checkboxes here don't cover everything because there's stuff it will still get hit from. So let's continue on. We'll go back to it later. So over here, let's continue. Nothing here. And in AI goal, just remove everything. Yeah, just leave it as is. Do not disable AI because we need that. Because for some reason, AI in Minecraft means ticking. So we need it to tick. We need the entity to tick so we can control it properly. So like if you disable this, it will stop ticking. Yeah, basically how it works. Also remove this despawn when idle, and also disable this entity spawning. Yeah, we don't want it to spawn naturally. Okay, now we have our fire projectile. Now we have to go to create a new procedure here and call this projectile invulnerability. Okay, we have this procedure. We do on entity attack or something. Attack entity is attacked. This one, yeah, this entity is attacked. So why are we doing this? So this will make so that the projectile is completely immune to all attacks. So we could do this if logic and just choose the projectile and then cancel. This works 100%, except that if you want to make more than one projectile, you have to constantly spam like ORs and check for each kind of projectile. So what you could do instead is go to the workspace and go to elements tag. Now once you enter the element tag here, you add a new tag and make sure this is set to mod, and the tag type is set to entity. That's important, yeah. Then here you type in invulnerable entity. Here, invulnerable entities. You can call it whatever, like invincible, invulnerable, whatever. So I'm just gonna copy this part of the tag name, yeah, and add our projectile to it like this. So now instead of doing like checking for manually for each projectile, if just in case if you want to make more than one, you can go ahead and go to entity procedures and data and scroll down a bit. You will find this is entity tagged as this tag. So as you saw here, we chose the namespace to be mod. So what does that mean? So basically just the name your mod's namespace. Basically to get the mod namespace, you have to go to workspace settings, and here you will have it over here. Boom. just you can have that. So my namespace is called test, so I have to type in test like that and paste this here. So you can just do this, and basically if the entity is tagged as invulnerable entity, it will not get hurt from attacks. Okay, now that we have done this, the invulnerable entity, and we have made the projectile, now what we could do is actually first let's just create a tick for this. So here we go. So now we can go all the way to triggers, and on entity tick update add a new procedure. Here we go, like this. So now what you could do now is just do an if not client side like that. You type in here client side. This is fun word procedures data. So here and if not client side somewhere here. Yeah, this one. So here we have this if not client side. We have to make it so that the fire projectile expects data. So what we do here is just boom go here to the entity procedures actions. Actually no, not action, data. Scroll down a bit, yeah, and find like NBT here number NBT. Now we have this. We could just type in here like X direction, whatever, yeah, X direction, and then copy paste this like two more times and type in Y and then Z. And basically what this does, now we get these directions, and then we just add it to the entity's position. That's all we do here. So what this does is spawns an entity, and on every tick it will advance forward. Yeah, let's continue on here. So we have this now, these three. Now we could just add go to entity procedure action, scroll all the way down, and then set location here. And now what you do here is let's right click this external inputs to make this much more cleaner to read. Okay, and then what we do is grab math and then duplicate this, like have three of them. Like here you do this, just attach these to the things, and you just add to the X goes here, Y goes here, and Z goes here. That's all. Okay, so far so good. This works. This should work. So if I save here and I save here, right now if we try to summon it and we actually set the XYZ directions, you will not see it. Also there are like a lot of things we have to check before that. So we first make sure the velocity is constantly set to 0, because you don't want the entity to actually move around, like using the you don't want it to be affected by gravity or knockback or whatever. So what you're gonna do here is go to attempt to override motion vector. You set this to 0 over here. Also you have to go to entity action again. Here set no gravity off and just set to 2. So basically this would like make sure it will not move using the normal velocity vectors, and instead it will just go in a straight line. If you want it to behave like a physical projectile, I mean, might as well make it a normal projectile. Anyway, this is just like you can control how it works. Right now I'm just incrementing by the direction, and let's add a speed. So we go to number here and just type in speed here, and then what you're gonna do is just go ahead and just multiply all of these, like have a multiplication, put the speed in like this, duplicate it 3 times, and make sure to only get the X direction, Y and Z like this. So you grab this only, do not take the entire thing. This will break things. Yeah, just grab this. You have to multiply the direction, not the entire math. So, and then you just do it like this. So what this does is like multiplies the speed by the direction, then adds it to the X. So go to custom variables, speed, and yeah, set it to a number like I don't know, let's set it to like 2, or yeah, 2. Let's leave it to like now here you can just control the speed. Now that we have done the basic like projectile movement where it goes forward in a specific direction, we can now give it a lifetime. So in order to do that, you have to add here flow control over here, yes. And now in entity procedure data, if you scroll down a bit, you can get the number of time the number of ticks entity has existed for. So here we go, get number of ticks entity has existed for, grab that, and if the amount has passed is greater or equal to 100, meaning 5 seconds, it will despawn. Yeah, you can control that number to whatever number you like. So this basically means 5 seconds. So if after you do this condition, if it's greater or equal, specifically this symbol, what you do is just despawn. Yeah, how to do despawn? You just go entity procedure action despawn, boom. Now you have that. So this will fly in a certain direction for 5 seconds before despawning. That's all it does right now. Now we need a way to visualize it. Let's visualize it. Let's add particles. So right now I call this entity, this projectile as called fire projectile. So what you're gonna do is go to world procedure action. You scroll down to spawn 5 particles. This one, yeah. So put this anywhere you like. I'm gonna put it here. So I think this is like the best position to put it. Okay, right before it increments. So here you give it like no speed, like 0.05, because 1 is really strong. So and you type in here flame, since it's a fire projectile entity, and yeah, this one. Okay, and this area will reduce it like 0.15. 0.5, so we can know exactly like where it is. Now we have saved this. We can save this, leave that. Okay, now we have these things. How do we use it? Let's make a procedure that will spawn the fire projectile. Create a new procedure, and this procedure will call the spawn entity, like something similar to it, but instead it will also like put the direction, everything. So let's do this: spawn fire projectile. Here we go. So here go world procedure data, and there is a new, there is like a, it's not that new, but it's quite new like for a lot of people. So spawn entity, and here we go. This will spawn entity and will return the entity itself once it's spawned. So right now let's put this if not client side again, just to be safe, just so that don't accidentally run this on client side and do like break stuff, like because this is on server side, and if on client side it will just return null. So let's just do if not client side here, boom, and then let's create a local variable. Let's call this here spawned entity, boom, and let's spawn the fire projectile like this. Here we go, attach this like that and put this inside. Now to make sure it's not null, just in case, we do this, put this in, and then just put the spawned entity inside this. Yeah, so the equal sign with the dash crossing through it is not equal, and what this does is checks if it is not equal to null, and if you do this, it checks if it's equal to null. We're gonna keep it to this one because we don't want it to be null. So we'll check if it's not equal to null, and then we do whatever we want. So now we have to set the NBTs we have given, like as you saw in this tick update, we are like getting the custom NBT tags, X direction, Y direction, and Z directions. We need to set those. So to do that, let's go here and do that. So entity, scroll down. Let's take this. So we have these things. Let me just copy the name. So X direction is gonna be here. Let's copy like multiple times, and then Y direction, copy. I mean it's just one letter difference. I could like manually do it, but like, you know, it's less error prone like this. Okay, now we remove these because we don't want to set whatever entity target entity is. So we have this now. So what do we put here is just the spawn entity. So whatever we spawn, the fire projectile we spawn, we just set the NBT. Right now it's always gonna set to 0. Let's go to advanced, scroll down a bit and get number dependency, and just remove these. Or actually remove we don't need the number dependency. We can make this a lot easier and simpler. We could do, I mean, here is not gonna be like as simple because it's more complex, but also when we try to use it, it's gonna be like way easier to use. So you go and get vector dependency over here, and what you do is just do this. So let me call this dependency. Let's call this direction. Yeah. You go to math, then vectors, and then these x, y, z components. So you grab all of these, like so, and then just put these like that, and then just go ahead, duplicate this 3 times like this. Now we have 3 of these. We can just do this. Now when we try to call the function, we only pass in direction. Also, to make this even simpler, and if you don't want to like manually put in all the x, y, z separately, you could do the same thing here. Copy paste this. Like, we're gonna change the dependency name here. Just a second. So here we place all these. We right click on this to make it external, so it's more readable, like that. And then we change this to position. Yeah, this makes it so like right now here it's like more clutter and more stuff because we have to convert here. But this is like the best way code wise, so that later when we try to call it, we just pass in the position and direction, no individual XYZ values. So here we go. We have this will spawn it and a position and direction, and that's all it does. So let's save that. So here we go, we can save. Also, before we save, you could also, as you saw here, there's like a speed variable, local variable. You could instead of having a local variable for speed, you could have also an NBT for that. So like a speed NBT, and you can just set it here, set it through here, so that if you want more control over the speed. So yeah, let's not do that, because just to make this simple, I mean, you could do this on your own. So here we have this. Now we could use this anywhere you want. So we have this spawn fire projectile, we can use it anywhere. So now let's do this. Let's get a new procedure, or actually no, let's make a new item, just so that why not. And then let's call this the fire stick, yeah, like this. And let's give it just I don't know, like, here we go. Let's see what we should pick. Blaze rod here. Yeah, blaze rod. And this is the fire stick. I'm gonna put this in like combat. Make this immune to fire, because why not? Doesn't matter. Because the fire stick is like now is like the test. Basically, the fire stick basically is the test item we could use to call the spawn projectile. So now on right click over here, we just go here and advanced, and then call procedure, boom, and then spawn file projectile. We don't need these. Remove these all, put 2 new ones, and call this position. And over here we call this direction. Now look at this. If it was like all in XYZ, we have to like put in like 6 of these, which is not ideal. Yeah, it's gonna be this is way cleaner. So now we could just over here just get the position. We can't just get the position here, because the position of the entity literally just means like the bottom of the entity. So if we put this, it will shoot like the projectile from the bottom of the entity. So to get the exact eye level over here, we need to look at the Minecraft's code, because it still doesn't exist, because you still can't get the eye position of the entity without code. So to do that, it's easy. Just go here, click on this workspace file, and type in entity.java. I mean, you don't have to do that. I'm gonna do it and show you what to type. So I'm just like showing you where to go. So right now here are like a bunch of folders and files and all that kind of stuff. So as you can see here, this is gonna be your mod stuff. Just minimize it, you don't need that. and there's external libraries. Over here, minimize this, whatever this is. You minimize everything until you find Neo4j or whatever, like Forge, Neo4j, Fabric, whatever. You leave this on. Go to entity here. This is entity.java. Scroll down and control. If you type in Control F, get I position, something like that. And then over here it shows like tags. If you click here, it will teleport here. So there is get I position, which represents a vector here. This will get the position of the player's eyes or whatever entity you're trying to check for. So we copy this get I position. We also copy this thing, so these parentheses. So let me just remove the here like this. So we copy all of this, Control C, and then over here you go. Let me minimize this file thing over here. So we have this now. Let's go to Advanced Custom Code Snippet like that, and then you type in entity dot paste. Here we go. Entity dot get I position. So every entity has this function inside. So now we have this. Right now, if I try to save, it will fail because first of all, I didn't pass in the direction. Second of all, entity is not in the required dependency, so it will just break. So to fix that, just pass in the direction here. So because the direction, like here, look angle vector of this one. Boom. Now entity is being required, so it shows it up here. Because for some reason, because MCreator does not detect like the code we write here, so we have to find a way to put these somewhere, like so that we can access. So because here entity and event target entity are the same thing, because if you translate event target entity to code, it just translates to just entity. That's the same thing. Yeah. So now if I just save this, close the entity.java, we don't need that anymore, and then save this, save the fire stick. Yeah, save that. Boom, we have the fire stick now. Let's try to run this. So here we go. We're on this board right now, and we can just go to combat. We have this fire stick, so we can just do this. Look at this. It summons a invisible entity that goes in a specific direction before despawning. Here we go. Look at this. Right now this does no damage and goes through blocks. So we go back to fire projectile here. As you can see here, we checked for if the number of ticks is greater than 100. And we can also check for another thing. So we go to logic, get this equal thing. You have to choose this specific kind, and then go select all, and set this to external. Grab this out, boom, like this. And what you do here is just go to block data and find this thing. There is a specific thing here. Is block at XYZ solid. Here we go. Just do this. Boom. Now what this does, if it checks if the block, it checks basically if the block at a specific position is solid or not. Right now, passing XYZ will not give the exact position of the entity, of the projectile. This is because we have set the location and the XYZ does not update on its own. So if you want the current position, let me just make this external so it's more readable. I remove these, we don't need this anymore. You go to entity data and grab these X, Y, and Z. X, Y, Z of entity. Boom. Now this will get the exact position of the entity. So let's deal damage. Yes. So we have. Let me save this first. And before we start, before we test, we have to make sure we make it so that damage is mobs. So what we can do is just do this. So basically, we could go to word procedure, data, and there's two things here. Does entity exist and get nearest entity. Boom. Grab these two. Yeah. We need these. So now we remove these again. Actually, no, we don't need to remove this because we're gonna do this above the set location. So we grab this if statement and put this here, and we do stuff over here. Let's just create a new variable again. of type hit entity, whatever. We can call this hit entity. Okay, now there's like a radius we could choose. This is not radius actually. This is a cube size, square cube size. So if you type in 4, it will check a 4 by 4 by 4 block size. Yeah. So let's just leave this at this amount. Yeah, we don't need to change it much. And fire projectile. Also here, fire projectile. Boom. Both the values here and the value here should be the same, even the type of entity, because if it's not the same, you could have moments where it crashes because this became true but this did not find anything. You have to be this, it has to be the same thing. Okay, now we have this. We have caught the hit entity. Let's do stuff to it. So let's deal damage to that entity, like I don't know, 4 damage, and we can choose like fire, on fire, whatever, in fire. Okay. And there is also like damage procedure section over here. So you could actually tell who is the entity that shot the projectile. So you could grab this instead and remove this one. Let's put in fire. Here we go. Put this in. So now there's like, we need to pass in 2 entities. So caused by, and there's direct cause. Direct cause is easy. Just pass in target entity. This remove here, we want the hit entity to be hurt. We want the entity that got hit to hurt. Yeah, basically that. Yeah. How do we pass in the owner of the fire projectile? So right now we could use either sync data or NBT. I'm gonna use sync data because why not? So over here there is integer, logic, and string. I'm gonna use string, and we're gonna call this owner UUID. Boom, like that. Now what this does is basically will hold the ID of the entity that shot the projectile, and we go back to our spawn fire projectile over here, and then we go to entity action, and then scroll down all the way to for custom entity, the green color one variant. So you remove this event target entity, copy paste this like that, and you do fire projectile like that, and choose owner UUID. Here we go. So how do we get the ID of the owner? Here we go. Get UUID of entity, and it's entity procedures data. If you scroll down a bit, you find this. So put this in, and now we will not remove this because we need to pass in the entity. Also, let me go to the generated code viewer like this. You see all over here. So there you could have like moments where you want the entity to be null, like if you don't want the projectile to have an owner. So right now this by default it always checks for that, if it's null or not. If it's null, it will not execute. So we have to do that our own. So to do that, there's like an additional procedure setting. Let me close this. Before we close, let me show you additional procedure settings. Click on that. Skip null check for dependencies. If you press that, it will remove the null check. So now it will not check for null. It will not check for the direction position. So let's make sure of that. So we wanted to check for direction position but not entity. Here we go. We do this and add an or like that, or like so. Oops. So over here we check if it is null, like here, direction and position. Okay, apparently click, because I called it direction. If you double click this, it just, okay, that's a bug in MCreator's side. It just gives trigger direction face. Wow. Okay, they should check for the type. Okay, let's manually grab it here then. So vector dependency, direction. Here we go, and then position too. We need both. So put this here and put this here. So now, if either of these are null, what are we going to do is grab the code snippet, type in return small letter, like all in small caps, and then semicolon like this. Basically, if either of these are null, stop executing. Do not run this. Now over here, this section specifically, we do this. Over here. If we do the same thing up here, like we copy paste this, or actually let's not copy paste. We go to advanced, grab this, the fresh one, and we do this. It will only set the owner UID if it's not null, like this. We don't want things to crash, because if you don't do this, if you pass a null, it will crash if you try to do this. So we have done this, save this part, and now over here we create a new entity variable, and let's call this owner entity, like that. Okay, and we just go ahead and set that variable like so over here. Okay, let's put this in the beginning so everything has access to it. So entity, if here we just put in the stuff. How do we like get that? So first of all, we need to get the owner UID string, this one. You have to go entity procedure data, scroll all the way down, get this, put the file projectile, put the owner UID. Now we have the string itself. Now we have to convert that to an entity. How do we do that? We have to reverse the action. So if you go to world procedures data, there's get entity from UID. You can grab that, remove this part, we don't need this, just have this and attach this like so. Now we have this now. So over here, the only place that the owner, you should remember to change this to owner entity, huh? Or else that will like overwrite over here because we're using it again. So owner entity will be set to the whatever the UID is. If it is null, it will not do anything. Yeah. So the only place the owner entity is used is over here, this specific part. We're gonna like grab in the owner entity and pass it here. So let's do a null check again. So grab this, go to advanced, and if it is not null, we have a different kind of if statement where it does inline. So we do this. So if it is not null, let me make it extend so it's more readable and it's not all horizontal like long. Okay, grab this. If it's not null, it will gonna check for, it will pass in the owner entity. Otherwise, what it does is just let me go to damage procedures and then grab this one here and just type in fire, the same kind. Yeah. So here we go. We have done damaging. Let's set the mob on fire because why not? Here we go. Set entity on fire for whatever seconds. Let's put this here and just set the mob on fire for like 4 seconds. Remove this. Put the hit entity. Yeah. Here we go. Now we have this. This should work. This should be a complete thing now. So let's recap. So we have a tick procedure that will try to get the owner entity. If it did not find anything, it will just store null, and we'll make sure the projectile does not use its normal velocity behaviors because it's an entity. We don't want it to fall down with gravity or whatever. We also disable the gravity here, like so. We spawn like flame particles around it, and then we try to damage whatever is nearby the projectile. If it's close enough, it will get mobs will get damaged. Okay, and you could deal damage and set on fire like so. And over here, it will only pass in the like owner entity if it's not null. Yeah, if it exists, if it's passed. Okay. Now we scroll down here. This will advance the projectile forward in a specific direction with a specific speed. And then if enough time has passed, if 100 ticks has passed since the projectile spawned, it will despawn. Or if the block at that position is solid, like if it hits something, it will also despawn. Boom. Now we have this. Now everything should work fine. Let's test it out. Here we go. So let's just do this. If I shoot, it does nothing, of course, because we did something wrong probably. So I forget what's the reason why this does not work. The reason is it gets the closest living entity towards the projectile. What you could know, and what do you know? The fire projectile is also a living entity, so it just keeps constantly getting the fire projectile instead of anything else. So this section, these two parts, is incorrect. Yeah. Let's just remove these. Just remove these. Yeah. Put these outside. We don't even need the hit entity. Remove this from this. Do not remove from here yet. You go to flow control. Not flow control, no. It's world procedure action. You scroll down a bit, and for each entity as this one, yeah, and just drag in these two like so. So we have these for each entity. It will loop through all the entity within this 4x4x4 block region. Yeah. And instead of having hit entity over here, remove these. Instead, you put an entity iterator like so, and that's all you do. This basically will damage every entity within like close enough to the projectile. Yeah. And we should ignore specific mobs. Right now it will try to damage itself. We do not want that. So we do entity iterator. We do this. So if entity iterator, not this one, no. We go to logic, is same entity as, like so. If it's the same as, and like so. If it's the same as itself, which is event target entity. If it's the same, or we expand like this, or if it is the same, copy paste this again like so, remove the event target entity, and if it's the same as the owner, we skip. So grab this, break out of loop, changes to continue. So what is this? Just skips the iteration. So if the entity iterator is equal to the projectile, or if it is equal to the owner, you just continue to the next iteration. So now this should work 100% of the time. So over here we have this world. Okay, let me just go ahead and grab it like I don't know, any mob here, a hoglin, yeah, whatever. And you can do this now. Look at this. You can shoot at it. Of course, you can change this so that it's not fire, instead ice or whatever you want. Yeah. So look at this. You could like damage multiple entities like in this way. Over here there is this side. You can increase this number to like 6. So now it's like, it's gonna check a 6x6x6 block cube. If it is like a sphere, it will count as like 6 as the diameter. Okay, let me just increase this to like 1, 1, and 1, so that it shows correctly. And I'm gonna like also like increase the particle count. Like I'm gonna do 15 here, so it's more visible. So you can use this as like a flamethrower or something. So here we go. Look at this. Now anything within this will be on fire. So look at this. Look at this. This is useful for that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's basically it for this tutorial. If you guys learned anything, press the like button and see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.